time to tackle some hypocrites for Buffoon of the Year. Let's remind everyone how this all works. There will be 11 categories of buffoon throughout this event, based upon the categories in my best-selling, award-winning book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, A Field Guide to Identifying Political Buffoons, which, by the way, is available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. Cheap plug, I know, but hey, that's how we roll. Our beautiful and lovely guests will nominate buffoons for each category. Just about anyone is eligible for nomination, with the exception of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Because let's face it, if they were to be nominated, they dominate just about every category, and we can't have that now, can we? It takes a majority of our guests voting for a particular buffoon to win that category. Buffoons can win in multiple categories, and each winner goes on to compete throughout the end of the year for your vote as Buffoon of the Year. So, before we go on to the next category, which we're going to be talking about probably the most synonymous words with buffoonery, and that's the hypocrite. James Bostic, tell us all about conservative perspective.
It's kind of a suck-ass segue to hypocrisy. Well, but anyway, I'll play your little game.
You know, you'll play my little dance for me, puppet. Dance for me. Dance for me.
I've been doing
hypocrites, James. What are you doing on your show?
We talk shit about the government. Conservative perspective has been around for a long time. It was an idea that I had after I saw Barack Obama get elected for a second term. I felt like I had something I wanted to say. And so I've always been a fan of radio, especially talk radio. So I did it. I'm on Sundays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Mojo 50 radio network. And I have a show on Thursdays on Patriot Nation through Blog Talk Radio. And that's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fridays, I can be found at Leisure Lane's Bowling Alley in beautiful downtown Beckley from 6 to 9:30.
Hold up. What's your average? What's your average?
Oh, gosh. I'm a high handicap. I'm a 70 handicap guy. They just have me on because I have a lot of fun. I'm a good teammate, and I help them out at the end of the day with that extra 70 pins. All I got to do is roll 100, and I'm good.
Absolutely. 2-for-1 brews, too, I bet. I wish. Listen, I'm a big bowling fan. I love doing it. So we're gonna have to get it. We're gonna have to get a game together. Either I'm gonna come to you, you're gonna come up here, and we're gonna have some fun. We'll go to Bolero up here in
absolutely
by me.
You can.
Sounds like a
and
great.
I work during the day as a. I'm sorry. What?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say during the day I work at the special ed department in the high school that I graduated from. I've been there for about 20 years. I've got that whole welcome back Cotter thing going for me.
Looking good, Mr. Cotter.
I love the photos you post of your kids, which absolutely tickle me all the time. Everybody always looks so happy. It's so great to see.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do have a lot of fun with it. I don't even call it going to work. I call it going to school.
It's absolutely tremendous. So mojo50.com, blogtalkradio.com, Patriot Nation as well. We're going to get all the links in the description below so you guys can check out James and all the good stuff that he does. And now let's talk about hypocrites, because the next category we're talking about is this really malignant buffoon. It's not just your everyday, do as I say, not as I do. It's someone who has gotten so far beyond the point of recognizing that, I may have contradicted myself, that they just don't care anymore. They're beyond the point of really trying to account for past statements or past actions and only care about that moment that's happening right now. And, think of like the best example I can give from recent history, Chris Cuomo, when he was lecturing everybody about COVID-19 and he was found to have left his house to go check on some construction at a home out in the Hamptons.
Flashback.
All right, so while most Americans are staying inside, or should be, right, if they're not out protesting like fools, they're not happy about being told to stay home. Staying home saves lives. And the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love, and to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home.
Hey, proles, scamper back to your hovels.
Go inside. Do you hear me? At that exact moment, while Chris Cuomo was demanding that America go inside and get back to their own homes, he wasn't taking the same advice. One day, Cuomo was spotted by a passing bicyclist who got into a tiff with him. Cuomo attacked the man later. Listen.
I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker to be able to pull over and get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it.
End of flashback.
And then later on, he had this grand reemergence from his basement when everybody knew that he wasn't down there to begin with. So that's sort of the best example from recent memory that we can talk about. And I'm going to throw out a nomination just right off the jump here that we talked about already. Rashida Tlaib. The spreading of propaganda about the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza and doubling down on that information to where she even repeated it at a rally outside the White House. And she would have, I'm sure she had all these complaints about Donald Trump being a liar. And I think one time called him a motherfucker or something like that. Yeah. But yet she's spreading around this misinformation that shut down the Capitol. There were arrests outside. There was an illegal protest going on. And she's spreading this hypocrisy, basically. She's spreading this misinformation that she complains that people on the other side of the aisle do.
And so I'm telling you right now, President Biden, not all of America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that.
Let's examine that for a moment, shall we? So this is a poll released by Quinnipiac, one of my alma maters. Voters 76 to 17 think supporting Israel is in the national interest of the United States. When you break it down further, 84% of Republicans say that, and 76% of Democrats say that, with 74% of independents agreeing that supporting Israel is in the national interest of the United States.
We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing a vast majority just like this, and we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this, but all of you, you need to know, I swear to God, Allah, you are on the right side of history.
When you heard about this, did it inflame you as much as me? Because I was like incensed by this woman for the past couple of months.
You know, it really didn't, because I expected it. In fact, really? I was surprised it didn't happen sooner. That, you know, like it just seemed like she had, you know, took a little bit too long to get on it. You know what I mean? I mean, it was pretty soon, but it's just, these antics aren't anything that I don't expect from her or the rest of the squad. And so for me, I kind of just thought, okay, it's just another day with, you know, Tlaib.
Just a typical day.
You know, maybe I'm just I ask too much of people. But Tracy, this particular incident with the rally outside and spreading propaganda and all this really is what led to Tlaib's censure before the House.
Calling the deliberate killing of innocent civilians resistance. Claiming a bombing of a Gaza hospital was done by the Israelis that killed hundreds of people, when we knew that was not true, and yet Ms. Tlaib doubled and tripled down on that. That was false and that was a lie. And then repeating and celebrating a genocidal chant from the river to the sea. That's not a cartoon, and that's not saying some things that you said before you were a member of Congress. And then we were accused of, it's Islamophobic, or pointed out that she was a woman of color, or she's the only Palestinian. What does any of that matter? This is...
Yes! Making the point I was trying to make as well. What does it matter what Rashida Tlaib's background is, what her skin tone is? It has nothing to do with the reasoning for this resolution. Great stuff here.
About words and actions, and we hold everyone to the same standard. We're not trying to jail her. We're not trying to expel her. We're not levying a civil fine. We're not even talking about removing her from committees. We're simply firmly and formally disagreeing with her and chastising her for her words and her actions. What she did was not leadership. It was demagoguery of the worst kind, and it was beneath the dignity of this office, her office, and the alleged commitment to peace she claims.
I want to talk about censure just for a second. What kind of cockamamie BS punishment is a censure? You go out in front of the class and they go, no, no, no.
Yeah,
How
it's
dare
putting
you
your
do
hand
that?
out and they go like that.
You don't even do that. That's corporal punishment. That's illegal. They're never going to do that.
They should have booted her ass right out of Congress a long time before this. Like I said, the type of inflammatory rhetoric that she spreads is what gets people killed. So, and I agree with Alicia. Like, I expect this from her. This is nothing new. She's a professional liar. She can dunk on Donald Trump all he wants, all she wants. It's low-hanging fruit because everyone does it. I expect nothing less from her than to spread propaganda. She's full of evil and she's full of hate. And that way, I don't view her as a hypocrite because she's true to who she is. I mean, that's the way I view this whole, Rashida Tlaib business. But they really should boot her ass right out. I don't know what's taking so long, and I don't know why they're afraid of her. Where are the Republicans that have a spine? Because I'll tell you, they're very quick to go after other Republicans, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, every day.
Which is why we're going to have a 1-vote majority come New Year.
You know what? I want to, and James, I'm going to put this to you because I'm going to push back a little bit. To boot someone out of Congress, I think we all would like to see people like Tlaib out, people like Eric Swalwell out, people like Adam Schiff out, that ilk. But it takes 2/3 of the House to do it, right? So I don't think in such a close Congress it's so realistic to
Right,
ask
it's
for.
not.
No.
Right.
And but I share the sentiment. Don't get me wrong. I share the sentiment without
At
a
least make
doubt.
the attempt. Try. Appease me.
At least pretend to respect me.
They're like capuchin monkeys for us. Dance, clown, dance. Play some music. Here's a quarter. Like, at least pretend. Because what bothers me about the Republicans, and I am one, and I'm a very active Republican. I'm a committee woman. Look, they're very quick to jump on other Republicans for infractions that aren't even close to hatred and anti-Semitism and basically inciting violence against the Jewish people.
Right, and we saw that with Ilhan Omar as well. Some people did something back in the day as well.
Yep.
James, what's the answer though? What's the appropriate measurement of punishment here for something that's as giving comfort to the enemy by spreading their propaganda?
I look at this and I'm again, I think George Santos, as portrayed in the media and the things that he's done, he's a creep, he squirrely, should be there. However, that being said, he hasn't been tried or subsequently convicted yet, has he? I mean, it's just indictments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the shrewd politician, the Machiavelli, would have kept him in place, and he would have this man do his bidding. He would have him vote the way he wants to vote, and should he get convicted in a trial, then you remove him and you look for someone else to supplant that. You don't get rid of him right now.
I have some thoughts about that I'm going to save till later.
Good. I have thoughts too.
Oh, that's delightful.
To me, there really is no good answer for punishing Rashida Tlaib, but censure to me is simply just become so watered down now that it really holds no meaning because we become so tribal. Back in the day when someone would be censured, it seemed like a big deal. Now, not so much, given the tribal divisions that we have. Censure can be seen as a badge of honor from the other side. There really is no appropriate punishment. Congress needs to come up with a better punishment. There
were some committees, maybe?
Yeah, lose your Lulus, lose your money from your committees, monetary fine, something that hurts.
Right.
I definitely could see something like that. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. Another nominee for Hypocrite, and this is one that really didn't catch a lot of news in my opinion, was St. Louis DA Kim Gardner. Now, she ended up resigning because, honestly, she gutted the entire St. Louis DA office to the point where, and because I'm a lawyer, I follow this, to the point where there weren't enough DAs around to cover the different appearances that were needed in St. Louis to prosecute murderers and other really high-level criminals. And it led to the punishment of the office for failing to appear on a murder trial, among other things. And what was Kim Gardner doing when all this was going on and she was being called into court? She was looking towards her next career to be like an RN or to be some sort of nursing degree. And she wasn't even showing up to work anymore.
Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner has announced she is resigning from office.
Now, she's been under fire for months. Back in February, the Attorney General filed a quo warranto petition against her to remove her from office, accusing her of willfully neglecting her duties. The screws tightened, so to speak, on that effort yesterday when it was revealed that she has been taking classes at St. Louis University's School of Nursing while she should be on the clock working as a prosecutor. There's also been an exodus from her office. At this point, there are only 19 attorneys left in that office. Attorneys are citing a toxic work environment, unbearable work conditions, and unbearable caseloads.
For me, that's a bit of a hypocrite. I don't expect you guys to know a lot about Kim Gardner out there. So let's talk in general about DAs, because we mentioned Pamela Price a little bit. We mentioned Jason Williams a little bit from Oakland and St. Louis, respectively. I don't think, Alicia, that people recognize how significant the state attorney or the district attorney is to their life, because they're the ones that hold the keys to the jail cell, really, when it comes to who gets prosecuted for what and who stays in jail for how long.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're going back to, the national news of the prison break that we had up here in, New York, upstate New York years ago.
And why did you break him out, by the way?
Well,
I will neither confirm nor deny the facts of that story.
We just,
you get bored in the North Country. You get bored when somebody come out. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
back to your point. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But so, the DA was up here at the time was even soft on that. And, it cost our state $20 million or something like that. And, the gal who helped her out helped them out, got a few years in a woman's correctional facility, and I think she's out now. But and so when we vote for these DAs, they really make a difference. I tell people all the time, elections have consequences. I don't think people really understand exactly how important things like this are. But this is also, I guess, maybe a problem with electing DAs, because really, if you're an elected official, you technically don't have to show up for work and you still get paid.
Apparently so in some cases. I mean, Tracy, we can talk about Alvin Bragg all day long and his day one memo in the People's Republic of New York City and his selective prosecution of Donald Trump under really, really specious theories of recovery, theories of liability. But yet we have all these smaller offenders who are doing shoplifting and all of that, basically ruining businesses in New York City.
Yeah, that's why New York City's a toilet right now, is because of these George Soros-funded activist district attorneys. Yeah, these unfortunately, I do support electing these district attorneys just because I feel like they have to be beholden to the people. The problem with a state like New York, I'm not sure about the state where Gardner is from, but we can't recall them here if they're not doing a good job. In the states where you can recall them, I think that keeps them on the straight and narrow. Unfortunately, New York City, you could put like this mouse up against a Republican, it's going to get elected, and no matter what he does or she does, they're going to continue to get elected. They're just so far gone.
Right. It's actually a good point well taken about recalling DAs like this. I believe it was the San Francisco DA was recalled. I think London Breed ended up winning an election there. So maybe California has a good idea for once. I don't know. It could be. I'm all for recalling people like this. James, when you see these Soros-funded DAs that we've been talking about becoming more, talking about criminal reform, but really what they're talking about is being softer on crime. Do you think that these DAs should be recalled? There should be a recall mechanism for them? Or do you think that voters should live with the consequences of their vote and have to go through with the 4 years or however long it is of enduring that person?
That's a tough call. I think that if you're being funded by George Soros, who is honestly probably the living embodiment of every James Bond villain that's ever been on the screen. Okay? It's a plan for world domination, and these people are following his instructions. If they're being paid by George Soros, then they are minions and lackeys in George Soros's employ. They're trying to unravel the fabric that is our society. And
they're remaking society in an
exactly
image that society is not intended to be.
A fundamental transformation has been taking place, and has been taking place for a long time. They told us they were going to do it, and they've been pretty damn successful at it to this point. But if you're being funded by George Soros, then you clearly do not have the interests of America, let alone the citizenry of your local district at heart. So yeah, they got to go. And if there was some kind of criminal recourse for them, like imprisonment or something like that, once it was reliably established that that's what they were doing, and it should be very easy to do that, then they should be locked up.
I'm with you on that. One last nominee I want to bring up. We've talked about it before with the migrant crisis in New York City, but let's talk about Kathy Hochul, who gave two different speeches basically since she became governor. One was quoting the poem on the Statue of Liberty, giving you tired, you poor, you'll have masses yearning to breathe free. Of course, she misquoted it. And then going on Sunday morning talk shows saying that, whoa, we need to rethink this whole immigration thing.
As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled young masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse to a teeming shore." And that statement encapsulates our values. We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you.
How aspirational. How stupid. It was basically an unlimited invitation to come to the People's Republic of New York. You'll be protected, you'll be housed, you'll be loved. We're quoting the Statue of Liberty. It's all so beautiful and all so stupid. Fast forward 2 years later, and you'd think that Hochul changed parties.
To have a limit on who can come across the border. It is too open right now. People coming from all over the world are finding their way through, simply saying they need asylum, and the majority of them seem to be ending up in the streets of New York, and that is a real problem for New York City. 125,000 newly arrived individuals, and we are being taxed. Now, we are always so proud of the fact that New York has the Statue of Liberty in our harbor. We are one of the most diverse places on earth because of our welcoming nature, and it's in our DNA to welcome immigrants. But there has to be some limits in place, and Congress has to put more controls at the border.
Okay, so that's a real about face. Tracy, what are your thoughts on Kathy Hochul?
She's the dumbest human being alive.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
She really is.
Good.
And honestly, I'll make it short and sweet. I think she is the worst governor in America. She's even worse than Newsom. She really is. And it's because she's not, I wouldn't say she's not malicious, but she's dumb and she's inept and she's not a leader. She is, I'll tell you, she tried to meet with the nursing home families years ago. And we were all set. I was one of those that was summoned for her photo op to make her look good. And I was going to give her a piece of my money. And they knew it. And they looked me up and they said, "Oh, sorry, she can't come. She hasn't been vaccinated. She's not showing us her vaccine card."
Oh,
that was her get out of jail free card. So she's a hypocrite on just about every level. And she's dumb. And when you're dumb and you're in power, you're freaking dangerous. Oof.
Boy, that you don't have your vaccination card is aged like milk, hasn't it? After all the science comes out, the actual science comes out, that all aged like milk. Alicia, being a resident in the North Country, let's talk Kathy Hochul.
Well, I mean, let's even talk about the whole hypocrite thing with the fact that, you know, she had to be complicit in all of or most of what Andrew Cuomo did, both with the nursing home as
That's
well as
just
the
as guilty.
sexual harassment situations.
Absolutely.
She knew exactly what was going on, but yet she comes in and she plays the innocent. I didn't know. Well, I'm sorry if you're the in the top of the administration, you're you have this information, and if you don't, then you didn't belong there to begin with.
Well, let's excuse Kathy Hochul while she was lieutenant governor because she was too busy getting her husband a sweet deal to rebuild a stadium in Buffalo. So,
Yet another
priorities
hypocritical
here.
thing. Listen, I work in healthcare compliance for a living, and post working at election campaigns for a living, and I teach it as well, and so I'm teaching my students about all of these civil monetary penalties laws and all of these things that they would be beholden to if they did certain things, but yet our politicians do all of this crap and they get through all of it unscathed. And this is a problem when you and I can get locked up for not even a tenth of what these people do, and they have get out of jail free card. They have not even attempt to make it to jail free card, and so this is a problem in itself. And I think for this category, I think not only the whole migrant thing, but almost everything she's done since day one has been hypocritical. And it's a governor, and it's affecting all of us.
You and Tracy gotta get on that Facebook friend list thing going together here because you guys have a lot in common.
We're gonna get her running for governor against Kathy.
There you go. We got to talk to Lee first, of course, before we talk about. We got to talk to Lee Zeldin first. So he should have won, in my opinion. He did such a great job running and had such good coattails for Republicans, but that'll be another year. James, anything you want to add on Kathy Hochul before we open it up for other nominations?
Yeah, I think that she has every bit as much blood on her hands as that bastard Cuomo does. I talked about this story. And by the way, Tracy, I'm very sorry for your losses. And it was completely useless and needless. And as far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't murder, it was manslaughter.
Yeah.
But and all of the director of nursing, everybody who signed off on that executive order and was in the loop that knew about it is guilty. They're guilty, guilty, guilty. She doesn't need to be there. And I think that I think you're right. And I'm not really familiar with New York politics, but the bigger stories, of course, I pay attention to. And I've always, ever since that nursing home geriatricide that took place, she wasn't ever expected to be governor. She wasn't ever expected to be governor. And so it was a comfortable position. It's just like Kamala Harris was never expected to be president, and apparently she won't. If Biden drops and they want Newsom, that's going to hurt him. But yeah, I think in terms of the hypocrisy, to know what she knew, and then Tracy, to go to want to meet with these families, to offer condolences, which she doesn't frickin' mean. I mean, it's a joke, and it's terrible. I'll bet there was probably more than 20,000 people that wound up dying. We'll never know the true number because they worked too hard to massage those figures. And I think it's awful. And you're right. There's not going to be any beyond a conviction in the court of public opinion. Nothing's going to happen to Kathy Hochul any more than what happened to Cuomo, or what's ever going to happen to Eric Adams, unless they're, caught with a dead hooker or a live boy. Nothing bad.
Come on, that's a badge of honor for them. That won't do anything either.
Among their tribes,
probably right.
Absolutely. But for us, the rest of us, it's PU. But nothing's gonna happen to her. I'm going to go with Hochul on this one.
All right. Well, I'm glad you know that. There may be some other nominations from the floor. We'll see about that. But here's a fun fact about New York State governors. Do you think back now? I may have told this to you guys before. Who was the last New York State governor to be voted out of office? You have to go back to Mario Cuomo, to when George Pataki beat Cuomo, in order to see a sitting governor be voted out. Back into I think it was the 1990s now. Every other governor either chose not to run or had to leave office in disgrace. Every other governor that, they either got reelected, but there was not been a new governor elected over an incumbent since Mario Cuomo. That sums up the People's Republic of New York for me. Are there any other nominees from the floor for the Hypocrite of the Year?
If I don't know if you're bringing her up in a different category.
Go ahead.
But I believe it was Alicia who brought it up. So I don't know. I don't want to take it from Alicia, like off camera. The whole Lauren Boebert in a theater.
Yes, go for it.
Yes, yes.
I
Absolutely,
mean,
go for it.
she was displaying her romantic side. Now, this is Lauren Boebert. I'm conservative, got my guns, got my Bible, everything's conservative and far right. And
I'm
she's
married.
dating a liberal from Aspen and was caught in a theater vaping God knows what. And they were engaged in some hand action going on.
I love the miming. The miming of that was perfect. Tracy.
I didn't know how to say it. I'm trying to say it in a PG-13 way.
But not only was she caught doing that, she then had the audacity to pull the "Don't you know who I am? I'm on the board of the theater. I'm a member of Congress" card.
I mean, she was acting like Andrew Cuomo, like she was grabby hands, and so was the guy. And, that's really hypocritical when you stand for, I'm this conservative bastion. There's nobody in Congress that's more conservative than I. And meanwhile, you're, going at it with some liberal, and he's not even that cute either. It's not even like, you liberal.
I don't find you attractive.
That's the stuff I live for.
That's what the vape was for.
Oh my goodness.
It's not very conservative, Miss Boebert.
No.
We just had this whole conversation about hypocrisy of policy within New York, and now we're going, you should not have touched that man in public, Ms. Boebert. This is the range of hypocrisy that you see in politicians. This is why we need to talk about these buffoons more often to bring all this to light. It's on both sides of the aisle. We see this all the time. All these people who are not fit to run dog catching are in the halls of power and getting away with God knows what else. We're only talking about the stuff we caught so far, not the stuff that we haven't caught, which is crazy.
Right.
Any of the nominees you guys want to bring up?
Well, no, but even along with that, it's like this constant, don't you know who I am? Well, yeah, I know exactly who you are. And why on earth do you think that you are not held to a higher standard? Like, this just drives me insane. These people should be, held to a higher standard. They should be role models for the rest of society. But yet they think that they get to a point, and I don't know where it happens, at what point, after they're elected, where, they lose how conservative they were supposed to be and, believe that they're entitled to, everything under the sun. It just drives me crazy.
Oh, absolutely. I agree as well. Are there any other nominees from the floor? Otherwise, we'll start picking here. That Boebert bombshell got me thinking, guys. I was all set to go for Hochul, but I think, listen, Hochul's definitely had a longer time in the spotlight with this. This was one instance of buffoonery from Boebert. I'm sure we can think of many other times when she's been dumb or just in over her head or things like that, and that doesn't really qualify by hypocrisy. I'm going for Hochul. I'm gonna try to do the right thing and go for Hochul, even though I really want to vote for Boebert. And if you guys vote her in, I'm okay with it. Alicia, who you got?
Listen, so earlier I was all Boebert because, I just, especially being the conservative I am and having a conservative hypocrite, that just pisses me off even more. But I think that I think she's one to watch to see if she continues the hypocrisy. I think Hochul has a long history of hypocrisy, so I think she deserves the award.
All right, James, who you got?
Oh, Hochul, all the way, definitely.
All right, Tracy, you gonna clinch it for her here or what?
What do you call it when it's a 4 in a row? Because it's not a hat trick. That's 3.
It's called unanimity, is what it's called.
Well, listen. Lauren Boebert and her raucous display, shall we say, of romanticism. She's going through a divorce. Maybe she's having like a little,
a mental breakdown, something. Yeah.
Like she's going through divorce. She doesn't feel desirable. She's acting a fool. A lot of people act a fool after divorce. So I'm with Alicia on let's give it some time and let's see if she can redeem herself, even though right now she's just about everything I hate about politicians. I call her a politician, not an elected official. I believe there's a difference there. But we'll see if she can redeem herself. I'm going Hochul.
All right, that's unanimous right there. I am shocked that Rashida Tlaib is not getting as far as she is with this crew, but hey, it is what it is. Listen, this is why we put it out to other people other than me. I love hearing everybody else's perspective on this.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.